Okay. That was great. Nothing better than starting a live stream with a voice crack. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. You're going to notice here on YouTube especially, there's a close-up going on here. Trups isn't here yet. I can't remember if he said there was a reason he wouldn't be here, or if he's doing something else and is behind when it comes to time. So, for now, it's going to be just me. Yeah. Okay, so I thought what we'd do is go through some British news events that took my interest. These would be things that happened literally a day after I put out a video on this channel. The video I put out was concerning EU and the vaccines. Well, around the time I'd made that video, there was a rumour circulating. A circulating rumour that the independent inquiry into Nicola Sturgeon as to whether or not she broke ministerial code over the Alex Salmond harassment case was a breach or not. Whether she breached those rules. Perhaps I should learn to structure sentences. Yes. Well, James Hamilton QC, the totally independent inquiry, no connections whatsoever to anyone, found that Nicola Sturgeon had not breached ministerial code. Which is quite interesting, really, because based on the information available, she had. And I sarcastically said, said that, wait, Trups is on LARPer time? Is he LARPing? I don't know. James Hamilton QC was appointed by Nicola Sturgeon to head this, which is where most people have immediately gone and thought, so you've appointed somebody who isn't independent at all. You've appointed somebody to investigate you, who can be argued to be an ally of you because you appointed them. If it was independent, it would have been somebody externally. Thank you, the like button, for the £3 donation. That's very kind of you. Yes, please consider hitting the like button. I'd appreciate that. So she was... I'll rephrase that, because apparently I'm struggling to sentence. The former Director of Public Prosecutions from Ireland presented the conclusion, which was around whether First Minister Nicola Sturgeon breached or knowingly breached the rules. His final report said no, basically. Now, it is worth noting this report, for the most part, had been leaked as early as Sunday, 3 days before it was even made public, which is a bit frustrating, really. So, I'm going to read some quotes here. I am of the opinion that the First Minister did not breach the provisions of the Ministerial Code in respect of any of these matters. These would include, by the way, not keeping accurate records of meetings, apparently not knowing about any meetings that she had with Alex Salmond and the accusations levied at him, so discussing them with him, which she did. And that was proven, by the way, because she had no records and he had records that proved it. There were no minutes to the contrary, because apparently lawyers don't keep minutes. She had spoken for 8 hours under oath and had lied. Now, the argument then becomes unknowingly breached the rules, which is a slap on the wrist for those who don't know. And it is a little bit of a grey area, I will admit. Oh, Trups will be here in 5 minutes. He's behind 2 trains. I didn't know cars drove on tracks. My mistake. What were the other things? There were others. I've completely forgotten. You know what? On this channel, the YouTube channel that is, there are a number of videos covering this as it unfolded from early January to now. My view is, she did breach ministerial code, but I'm biased, because I'm not overly fond of the SNP. I just like to see him suffer a little. The annoying thing is, when there's a chance for the others to punish them, they all bottle it. The Scottish Conservatives tabled a motion of no confidence in Nicola Sturgeon. And she survived, handily. Because Scottish Labour and Scottish Liberal Democrats abstained from voting. There is a level of frustration when it comes to a democratic process, and you know blindly the SNP will just vote for their leader cause. I don't know. It's just a bit frustrating. But then again, that is the state of politics, and it has been for a long time. Whether it's about integrity or protecting oneself, integrity becomes tertiary. You've got to protect yourself and then your party. You don't have to be honest. In politics, that is well known. This isn't like I'm being philosophical here. No, this is obvious. And it's frustrating because there are obvious lies. And because they've latched on to instead the other inquiry said that she unknowingly misled Parliament. There is no punishment for that, which means everything that was done, even though Alex Salmond provided all the evidence, all of it, that showed she had done these wrong things, it was thrown out, which means what he's done is effectively moot. Which I find quite intriguing because Alex Salmond today announced that he is now starting his own political party.
Woo, Alex Salmond, go political party, woo.
Good evening. Good evening, Trupslop.
What's up?
Not much.
So the fun, exciting thing about my new house is that I am next to train tracks, and not one train, but two.
Oh.
And of course they didn't pass at the same time. I saw the bars go up,
right,
and they went back down again. I was like, no.
Well, there's something.
Indeed.
Okay. Maybe I should consider this a do-over for this stream. Because obviously this will go on, for those who don't know, this is going to go on Spotify later. But I have fumbled and bumbled and mumbled and royally cocked up this first story I was going to cover. So perhaps when I edit this later, I'm just going to crop this part out and start again.
You guys get exclusive stuff for being here.
Yeah. You get the first story that I had all these sources for that I'm not going to use anymore, because fuck that. I'm
so glad I can come in and just completely just like bulldoze your plans.
To be fair, I was bulldozed the minute I started on my own, because I got incredibly, I get very anxious when I stream on my own. I do it on Twitch all the time, and I fumble my words all the time. It's not a natural thing for me. I can't. I'm not comfortable with it. Let's go with that. Okay. Okay. So, hi Trups. How are you?
I'm good. I grabbed a crisp apple while my computer was booting up. Fun story, by the way. Additional problem why I wasn't immediately here at the very, very beginning, even if I had gotten home on time. So Tuesday night, I've told Meg this, but I have had some issues with my PC. Now this is a glorious tangent. I want you all to appreciate my own unfortunateness and my own stupidity in fixing the problem. So I had some issues where I had gotten a blue screen. It was a memory fault on my main computer. Okay. Looked at the stuff, like tried pulling out some RAM because I knew that the software didn't necessarily fix it because I couldn't boot it back up. So I pulled out some RAM sticks. One RAM stick in one certain slot worked. Okay, cool. So I left it in that configuration. Um, Bought a new RAM stick to see if it was a faulty RAM stick. Put those in. Those didn't work. So I check. I'm like, okay, well, it's just this one slot. Must be the motherboard. Okay. Swap out the motherboard. Same slot is having issues. Okay, well, that leaves only two options: power supply or my CPU. Power supply is fine. All the voltages are great, according to my BIOS. So it's got to be the CPU. All right, fine. Well, we'll try to ride this train out, no pun intended, until we can see how long this CPU lasts. Okay, flash forward to Tuesday night. My CPU died then. I would boot up my PC. It would freeze. There would be no events, no errors in the event viewer because the reporter, the CPU, broke.
That is unfortunate.
So I ordered a new one off Amazon. But guess what? I ordered the wrong fucking one.
F.
So, yes.
Well, I'm very sorry you've been put through such horrible first world problems. Is the new one in, or are you using a different system?
Oh, I'm using a piece of shit laptop right now.
Still works. Clearly superior to the computer.
Yeah, at this point it is.
Grats. Okay. How's your week been? Beyond that.
Beyond that, it's been all right. Living in the new house. Fire alarm's very sensitive for somebody who smokes. So that's an adventure I have to address at some point.
I'm very sorry that you smoke.
That's fair.
I'm not one. I've never smoked, so I'm just being a dick anyway.
Well, remember, this is a hookah that I enjoy.
Grats.
But my fire alarms keep alerting me that my hookah is on fire.
Okay.
And actually, the second night I lived here, we were both smoking the hookah, and the carbon monoxide alarm went off. That was fun too.
Oh really? Well, that's. Were you laughing?
Turns out, coals do create carbon monoxide, so that makes sense.
Oh, that. I'm glad you're learning some valuable lessons here at adulting, and I'm sure you'll eventually learn to cheat those alarms, like most people.
Oh yes, I plan to do some engineering on them this weekend.
Turn them off. Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay, so right. I'm going to quickly, because I'm going to crop this, obviously, for Spotify. I'm going to recap the first story, because you came in right at the end. Nicola Sturgeon was cleared of breaching the ministerial code in the Alex Salmond case by someone that she appointed, which immediately screams bias. Okay, we have discussed this on this channel many times. Simply put, there was too much evidence publicly available for it to be anything but guilty. But as is case, in a number of things that have happened this week, man presents evidence proving innocence and proving right, and he gets shafted, which has annoyed me to no end, especially when it comes to appeals. Yes, I'm very much aware of the UK courts rejecting the application of an appeal for what was essentially slander.
Was that what your tweet was about today?
The men one?
Or yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah.
The one about men talking about abuse and whatnot?
I embellished on it on Minds with a blog post. I felt it more appropriate. I can't do a video on that. I can't. Any video on that gets buried. So a blog seemed more appropriate. Alex, actually, interestingly, when the report was published, into clearing Nicola Sturgeon. The SNP at the same time announced their new plans for a referendum, which, for anyone who bothers to pay any attention to any politics of any kind, is their way of saying, back to business. We're going to bury what's happened there in favour of, because, we don't, even though unintentionally someone breached the rules, i.e. the First Minister, which she was found to have unintentionally done, which is a slap on the wrist at best, they are instead pushing ahead with a referendum to try and break up the union again, because 7 years is a lifetime in Scotland. Their life expectancy is quite low. I would bother to go and get the exact number. Let's actually, let's go do that. Scottish life expectancy, just 77.1 years and 81.1 for females. Now that's 11 times. No, 7 years isn't. No, that's
7-Eleven.
I don't know what to say to that.
You said 7 times, 11 times, and I was like, "Oops, 7-Eleven."
I was about to say 77 again. So, thank you. I don't know where I'm going with that. Okay, it doesn't matter. 7 years is not a lifetime. If 77.1 years for a man is, and it's 11, just move on. Right.
Now,
so
they didn't make any life sentences, did they? Or did they say 7 years?
When the UK government permitted the Scottish government to hold an independence referendum in 2014, they said it would be a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Hence my reference that 7 years is not a lifetime. That's the point.
Ah, yes, I recall this now, yes.
Yeah. So my view on this is, now their argument counter to that is that was contingent on us staying in the European Union, the United Federated States of the People's Democratic Republic of Europe, which we didn't, and Scotland did vote over 70% to remain in the EU. So yes, they have a right to be quite angry about that because they wanted to stay. They believe, as a nation, they are better off away from the rest of the United Kingdom and with the EU instead. And that is a contentious point that it would be hard to, say yes or no about, because we've only left recently. And so it's quite a tricky area to navigate. It's very difficult at the same time to, let's say, have a grown-up discussion about it. You never will in politics, will you, anyway? But it is especially so when, on one side, you have a magnanimous victor, i.e. the UK government, because they did exactly what they said they'd do, leave the EU, moving on. And you have the SNP, and no offence intended to them, but they are acting like children when it came to this entire discussion. They simply said, we didn't get what we wanted, we're going to leave. And then we're going to break the rules that they can't even do in the first place. They can't initiate a referendum. I don't think they have they don't have an argument. And one of the arguments was that if they managed to obtain a significant majority in the Scottish elections in, I think, May. I think it's really soon, these elections. If they get a significant majority, there is a leg to stand on. Thing is, though, they've held the majority for years. Oh, and thank you to the like button for $5 donation. That's very kind of you for Traps. Very kind.
Thank you.
But because of the Alex Salmond inquiry and Alex Salmond starting his own party, there's a belief now he's gonna take some stuff from them, but also their reputation's been tarnished. Because even though with Scottish outlets, certainly the ones I was trying to find sources in Scotland to use for videos, there weren't many that were criticising the SNP. In fact, the only ones that were ones that were very much anti-SNP, and it's very difficult It's very difficult to comment on things when you just see bias everywhere. And obviously there's no such thing as unbiased, I know. But I think you know what I meant, in the sense of something more moderate that was just willing to address things without not necessarily being apolitical, because there's also no such thing as that, but in a sense of honesty, which seems to be lacking because of this idea that English bad, and that is the one-dimensional argument the SNP continually bring up. English bad. It's so bitter, so salty. You're a part of a union you want to leave and be free to then go join another union because you blindly believe it'll do better, completely ignoring what is currently going on in the EU at the moment. If the EU is so good, why are they willing to seize doses of AstraZeneca that belong to the United Kingdom illegally? If they're so good, why were they pushing out propaganda about the effectiveness of AstraZeneca, saying that it started blood clots, and then had to renege on that little idea, and which didn't work because people now won't take it in France because they lied? It's such a stupid idea. Also, Scotland would have to meet all, is it 37? There's a stupid number of like check marks you have to hit, and it's not feasible for Scotland because they won't have their own economy, because they'd have to survive on their own before they joined. No country can just join the EU. It takes years, and in that time you have to survive. Oh, I had to actually... You know what, interestingly, I sat here for like an hour before I started. I pulled up all these images, and I'm like, yeah, we'll have some images for the stream. I haven't touched them once, because obviously I started on my own and I cocked it up. Yeah, that's precious.
Oh, it's all right. Don't worry about it.
I think until the Scottish elections take place, we're not going to know, really, what the mandate for Nicola Sturgeon is. I'm also not sure if she can hold on to her spot for much longer, unless she manages to get the Scottish Liberals or Labour to support her a bit more. The fact they didn't even bother with the vote of no confidence is quite damning of them, if anything. And there were recent polls that showed that their majority had diminished. That's a good thing, because there are many bills being passed in Scotland at the moment that are very much anti-freedom. And I say that with no level of irony, considering what the UK government has recently passed when it comes to freedoms, which, yes, I'm now going to talk about for a minute, because it annoys me. The UK, where is the image? That would be the image. Let's go with Boris, yeah. Boris Johnson managed to get a bill through Parliament to extend the Coronavirus Act until September, which means, yes, all the current powers they have when it comes to lockdowns remain in place. They have the ability to control the people, but there were many people that did vote against it or abstained. Many did, because lockdown is supposed to end in June. This carries on over summer, and the reason why is because they want to control holidays as well. Yet, under this government, we have now seen the infection rate and death rate absolutely plummet. It's in double digits again now. It's in double digits. Why on earth would you extend this? Is this because you're trying to just in case retain those powers, which I understand fully, I really do. But at the same time, it looks draconian. It really does. And yes, 76 people voted against it. And yeah, the Liberal Democrats were one of them, which surprised me. Because, I'll be honest, why on earth they were voting for it, against it even, when, if anything, they've supported all of this is beyond me. Many Conservative MPs are rightly against this because they don't like the idea of controlling the people like this, and also many of them are very much of the belief that at this point lockdowns could be eased faster and still remain safe, and that any extension of these powers could extend it even beyond that to October and possibly through to Christmas again, which I really see as I don't know. Even the Prime Minister at present hasn't managed to explain adequately why why he has to do this, and because it's passed, people, by the way, say that we voted for this as a people. We really didn't. We didn't. We voted for the MPs, yes, but we voted for them before this all happened. We didn't get a say on what happened next. There's only so many times you can continually tell your MP, I fundamentally disagree with this. They're not going to listen. They're really not. And it's quite frustrating because I'm kind of done. I really am sick of this. I think most are.
I have a question, actually.
Ask away.
Does your government recognize the American CDC as a
Do we recognize CDC as what?
and kind of already well, so for example, we're reopening schools because the CDC has come out with a study that said that should you put masks on, but you remain 3 feet 1 meter away,
Right.
there's very little transmission found. Now that's our CDC who says that, but your government seems to be trying to keep lockdowns in place. My question is, does your government see the United States CDC as any kind of authority?
No, because
Okay.
they use their own scientists and NHS specialists. That's who we rely on our own version of things, essentially.
Okay.
That's not a criticism of the CDC. They are very much that's American. That's not to say
No,
that
right. I just wanted to know because I know that we talk about a lot of our federal organizations talk with one another.
Yeah.
And I always wondered how much they talked or how much they agree with one another when it comes to things like this, which was a global pandemic. You'd think they would talk to one another, but hey, whatever.
Yeah. No, I fully get that. So, one of the aspects of this coronavirus act that I really don't like, that they're still maintaining, is it's called Schedule 21. It's basically prosecuting people for lockdowns, breaching them. I just don't care for that. I really, really don't care for that. I don't see the point when things have gone down as far as they have, because last year when this happened, and yes, there wasn't a vaccine then, but when numbers went down, they stayed low because it got warmer, okay? I don't know if anyone's worked this out yet, but as much as you might want to deny this part, does anyone remember how low the numbers were last summer? Yeah, I wonder why. There was a memorial during the week as well to commemorate or a reflection of some kind on I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday. About how many people was it? Like 126,000 people who'd passed because of this, or have been considered to have passed because of this. That doesn't mean they actually. No. That those numbers are fucked. Let's go with that. So I guess with this, I should perhaps address the EU. Earlier in the week, I did release a video discussing the EU potentially being willing to break international law to then try and seize AstraZeneca. Now, interestingly, in Italy, was it 29 million doses of this were found? Thing is, None of that was earmarked for the United Kingdom. Just putting it out there. But they are trying to withhold about 10 million doses that are meant to come to us because even though they rejected it so much, they've decided, well, we want some and we're just going to take it. It's like, well, AstraZeneca is part ours anyway, so fuck off, quite frankly. And this has caused a bit of an issue because raw materials are being blocked. They're what being blocked that go to the Pfizer factory in Belgium from Britain. Which in turn means that anyone who would get a second dose of this AstraZeneca can't, or there will be a delay on it, which in turn impacts the EU anyway, because they're like, give us our fair share or no one gets it, which is utterly nonsensical. Well, Boris decided to offer him an olive branch. His olive branch was to negotiate a little about, giving up some of our supply, our doses for them. Well, that's fascinating, really. More recently, the EU decided to hold a video summit. This video summit was to discuss stricter export control on the vaccines. Well, this seemed like a bit of backlash or a way of lashing out at us because we're not having to go back into another lockdown as we are still in one, but because the EU is in a third wave of coronavirus, they're suffering. Now, von der Leyen wants the new tougher rules to be backed, which will allow Brussels then to stop the exports, which would include us, because we have a higher vaccination rate. Their way of helping themselves is to drag us down with them, which is, I'll be honest, the only drug I think they're taking right now is copium. It's tragic that this is what they're having to rely on to deal with us. And let's see, there are other countries within this who are concerned because of how the EU are behaving. This could then trigger a vaccine trade war. For the sake of it, Pfizer have factories in the United Kingdom as well. They're not far from where I live. Well, it's a facility, but I'm sure they could change it into a factory if they wanted. Aren't Pfizer owned by the Americans? I think it is American. Maybe.
Sorry, I was muted. I don't think so. I believe Pfizer is actually UK-based. Pfizer is UK.
It's an American multinational, though. It's owned by Americans.
Is it?
Yeah, owned by Greek, but it's American multinational. That's fascinating. I guess the issue here is, even if we offer them a little olive branch, are they still going to be massive dicks about it? And the answer will be yes, because our vaccination rate is phenomenal, and ours is equivalent to your warp speed. Possibly faster, actually. Since we're up to almost 1 million doses a day now. I don't know if you're that high. But
I hear mixed results a lot of the time.
I think
and Biden didn't really talk about it.
Perhaps I should
during the press conference.
I should rephrase it to a proportionate rate, like percentage-wise. You know what I mean?
Well, then no. I think you guys will definitely pass us, if not completely succeed at yours before we finish with all of ours.
I am fascinated with how the EU are going to keep behaving like this because it is utterly petulant. It really is. It's... So, one of the things the EU want us to do is for Boris to drop British first refusal on jabs manufactured in the 2 UK AstraZeneca plants so that they can begin supplying the EU. which in turn would impact what we produce for ourselves. Let's not forget here, Boris, genius. When it came to AstraZeneca, the UK's own versions of CDC and all that approved drugs, right? Whoever that is, I don't know, in your country. But in our version of it in the UK, approved them months before the EU used their own version to approve theirs. So we secured the deals because we got on it. And that seems to have rubbed the EU up the wrong way because they don't seem to understand. We got on something and got results. They, well, I'll quote Boris, dithered, delayed, dawdled, and screwed themselves. This isn't rocket science, people. This is a case of you guys cocked up. And honestly, we shouldn't be, in the UK, are not responsible for that. How is it the UK, who are supposed to fail after leaving the EU, managed to secure trade deals to make sure that people got the doses of AstraZeneca long before you because you were too busy saying, oh yeah, but we can't be sure it's safe, without taking it to a specialist for approval in the EU first? Which is exactly what you were doing when the then specialist then told you, when you keep saying blood clots, you're talking out of your own arseholes. Congratulations. And I think there was a reference earlier to me not speaking coherently this evening. I do apologise if that's the case. I was thrown off. Okay. There was one last thing in the UK I wanted to quickly talk about. It's not really political, but it kind of is. Concerning a school called Batley Grammar School. Batley, I don't know. Batley. Where a religious education teacher showed a picture of something.
Oh, God.
Would you like to...
This.
So, showed a picture of Muhammad. And the cartoon understandably offended the whole Muslim community. And so the teacher is suspended and under protection of the police. The school was protested by parents, although I will put a picture up of some protesters now. I would now like to point out that it has been confirmed a vast number of these people are not parents. There were more, by the way. So many were not parents. They were protesting because a non-Muslim man showed Muhammad, and you're not allowed to show Muhammad. Isn't it the belief that all Muslims strive to look like Muhammad, so you don't depict Muhammad, you try to, the best version of you is Muhammad or something? I don't know.
I don't remember why they don't show it. I just know they get very, very upset if you do.
Okay, I don't know why either. I don't care either. My view, because I'm not religious, is okay. Well, I've got on my desk here a £10 note. I've now decided arbitrarily this £10 note is Muhammad. If I take a picture of that, slap a beard on it, and put it on Twitter, and tell people this is now Muhammad, is someone going to get angry? I know it's the idea that you can't draw essentially Hebdo style reductio ad absurdum, skinny guy, brown skin, scraggly beard, and a headpiece, and some robes, I think. It's an image. And we in the UK are not held by this same idea of religion dictating the country anymore. And yet, people still get up in arms over things like this. I don't care for it. There was a tweet I earlier sourced and linked. I'd have to go find it. Where is it? Protesters arrive for a second day. Oh, yeah, there's no prohibition of blasphemy in the UK. And yet, the school has capitulated to the mob. Okay, because they have suspended the teacher, this is an act of moral cowardice when the teacher did nothing wrong. The teacher, to be honest, in my view, didn't do anything wrong. He is teaching religion. I think all this needs to be discussed freely, openly. But I understand why some say, because it's your faith, it's like that idea of, to you, it means more than it could mean to anyone else. Okay, I understand that. I feel exactly the same way about the Megazord on my desk. And I honestly, I will protect my Megazord with my life. Don't depict it. I will issue a fatwa for you, on you. Is that how it goes? I don't know. I don't really
something
care.
like that.
I don't care. You know what I mean. I'm just being a dick here for the sake of it. The point is, religious freedom and education in religion is fundamentally important. It really is. And I think it's really silly that people are getting up in arms like Hebdo and other, like the teacher in France who was murdered because someone said he depicted or shown a picture of Muhammad in class. How about you yourselves, those same people who tell others that people are being Islamophobic for depicting Muhammad, learn some tolerance for a more secular society that tries to openly and freely discuss religions and show imagery to best represent things. It's called history. We don't hide it. And Muhammad is a part of history. He should be discussed openly. He should be discussed, and if depicted, he should be depicted. If you don't like that, that sounds a lot like a you problem. Not me. I don't care what Muhammad looked like, but I do think it's fundamental to understand the environments where he came from, because there are many differing arguments about the kind of man he is. And I'm not going to get drawn into that because it makes me cross with the absolute intellectual dishonesty. Also, I don't believe in a lot of that religious bollocks. So, yeah.
Works for me.
Huh. Yeah, and as far as the parents protesting for 2 days and others outside that school, you've made a school kowtow to you because you got salty over one image. Are you absolutely... That's probably the only time you've ever bothered to get involved in your school's existence. Because parents generally don't care. And religious studies in schools in the UK, not overly important, to be honest. It's not a qualification many strive for. And yes, for those who have asked, I am indeed on a Megazord jihad. Okay.
Yes, good.
I'm going to put a picture of Biden on the screen. It's your turn. Tag it.
Okay.
He did some interviews
So
this
I
week.
assume we're going to talk about, in particular, this glorious press conference that Biden had. Yeah.
Wait, hang on. Did you see? Before that, he got asked about the border crisis, and there's a 15-second video, and he got confused in his sentence, and then said, "And who am I turning this over to?" To which a staffer then said, "I think it's time for the press to leave," and ushered them all out, and he was confused and looking around.
Oh my God! Yes, I did.
Like I see people on my Twitter constantly going, "This man has no cognitive, doesn't have any control over his mind. He clearly is falling apart. What is going on here?" And yet
That's the
others,
leader of the free world, dude.
and yet, I put another article this evening in our little Discord, and it's an opinion piece saying that he's giving left parties the world over a masterclass in how to rule. I'm like, you've got to be absolutely. He isn't accountable. I'm letting you do it. You go.
Well, there were plenty of instances during that press conference where he just malfunctioned, where he stopped working. Right? You had an entire thing where, much like how we, Omegon and I, both kind of waffle on during these things, we almost never will stutter, stop, and then go, "Oh, anyway." And then stop, and then stop. That's literally what he did. He got asked a question, started to answer it about 4 different ways, confused himself, stopped, and said, "Well, anyway." and then asked, "Am I
Yeah.
making sense?"
Honestly, I was watching bits here and there, and I just thought, how is this man in charge? I I know people have be going through voters regret, I guess you call it. Is that voters remorse or whatever?
Yeah, sure.
I fully understand that, but you guys voted for this.
Yes,
Like,
yes, we did.
you cannot tell me you wanted Trump out so bad you would choose a guy who cannot control what comes out of his mouth over a man who knowingly doesn't control what comes out of his mouth. Like, this guy, no offense, I really don't mean to be rude to him, but he shouldn't be president. He really
No,
shouldn't.
no, he shouldn't.
Who the hell's running the country? Who is it?
Kamala, probably. Nancy Pelosi. One of the two, likely. If I had to guess.
What were your views of the press conference then? What stood out to you?
Okay, the press conference was an entire debacle. I was more shocked and like I was almost distressed and like concerned more than I had the willpower to be outright vindictive or angry.
Yeah.
Because I watched a man go up there and start talking as if, he was going to address the nation on an issue,
Yeah.
and I watched him fumble. I watched him stop. I watched him struggle through, admittedly, an hour-long press conference, sure,
Mm-hmm.
but my God, it was painful to watch. That the best way I can describe it is it was painful.
Yeah.
And God, I am concerned. As are many other people, that this man not only doesn't have the wherewithal, the ability, the cognitive thought to be able to lead, but we're concerned that, as I had said even before he was elected, I think it's tantamount to elder abuse.
That's what many I've seen on Twitter. I don't follow many people's. Perhaps I'm biased in a sense, but there are many who have pointed out this guy clearly does not have any control, and is
No,
not.
I
He's not a fully functioning person. And I'm sorry, but this is your president. This is so important. You cannot keep, and that's why I found the opinion piece this evening so interesting, because it's a genuine case of you are so biased. You think he's doing an amazing job, even though when he was put
oh
on the
God,
spot, he
the
fundamentally
media
failed.
the media are fawning over it. I want to point out that during the press conference, 10 reporters were called on, none of which were Fox News. I think the New York Times didn't get a question either. But basically, from what I understand, this man basically went off, had a bunch of lists, actually had headshots of the different reporters and where they were from and all this like data on his notes. There's been a bunch of screenshots that have been passed around, or pictures rather,
Yeah.
of his notes, and they include headshots of reporters. Um, Now, it's not a secret, and I explained this to somebody else who I was arguing with on Twitter. It's not a secret that the Democratic Party has fed questions to their people in advance before. Hillary Clinton, during one of the debates, had gotten fed questions before
Did
the
she?
debate. Yeah, in 2016.
That's tragic.
That came out afterwards, but it's not a shock, and most people at this point just kind of assume that's happening. Um, Even though Biden can't really create, um, I guess the actual wording to speak about his policies, some of the policies that he mentioned are contrary to what his White House press correspondent has been saying.
So before you carry on in the chat, someone mentions the Joe Biden memes for the next 4 years is going to be awesome. You're right, but sadly, many will just say you're a MAGA chud and this is hateful.
Hey, I've heard that before.
You hear that plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
Bigot.
Yep. Tastes good. Um, but
The press secretary is a very
yeah, the
interesting
memes are
person.
gonna be good, but also they're gonna be said with no level of like irony. It's kind of like you're laughing on the outside, but on the inside you're concerned, scared.
I am
It's
very
like the joke
concerned.
that they had made about Corona when it first came out. It was like, haha, Corona, that's like a beer, haha. Oh no, it's
Yeah.
coming to my country.
Yeah. Don't. It's that same. The funniest one I saw was so we can call any strain that's vicious from any country except for the one that came from China. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
right? Yeah, yeah, fuck your UK variant, apparently.
Yeah. It's all about that Brazil and South Africa still.
I hear that one too, and I was like, wow, way to, not talk about the American variants or the UK variants anymore. Now you're going with South America and Africa. What fucking bigots.
Yes, I just find that fascinating.
But no, the media is fawning over themselves, like talking about how well he did. A calm, cool, collected president talking about the issues and why he didn't talk about coronavirus. Well, because coronavirus handling is going so well, obviously, is what they tell themselves and what they report.
Not what
It's
everyone else saw.
right, exactly. I'm like, I watched this happen. How can you be so blatant in your lies? It's because people don't watch it.
No one was watching that. You could tell those that said that are the same people who don't understand if a man can't finish a sentence, something's wrong. And yet, whenever Trump stumbled, whenever he put his hand on a railing, when he overfed fish, whenever he
They
was
yelled at him
slightly,
for the size of his salt shaker.
they mocked him for this. Yes, hang on, is that his penis?
No, no, no,
Because they did that too. Remember?
large. And then they criticized him for being obese because of it.
Yeah, and literally everything about him was criticised. But with Biden, it's this guy is king material. He is our living saint.
They literally treat him. You know how we unironically would call like we actually no, sorry. Let me rephrase. You know how we ironically would call Trump God King?
Oh, God King Emperor, yeah.
Yeah. They treat Biden like God King Emperor.
Yeah, it's
Like you
actually
saw
quite
the
funny.
that cover, that magazine cover, right? Where he was literally the Messiah.
Do you think they do it like hipsters, ironically?
No.
Uh,
Well, maybe.
I'm only saying it so I can get you
Amongst
to give an answer. Give
themselves,
me some
they
thought,
might.
perhaps. Oh, yeah.
Amongst themselves, they might joke about how crazy they're making it sound.
Do you think they
But
have a
that's only
chance?
if I think that they have enough what's the word? Self-awareness to understand what it is they're saying. I don't know if I believe that they have that level of self-awareness
Do you
sometimes because
think that perhaps, and this might be a callback, I don't know if you might get this one, they will also unironically say as a worship chant for him at their cult meetings, he will not divide us. He will not divide us. He will not divide us. Which was, if anyone
um
remembers, used by Shia LaBeouf on Trump with that piece of art that got moved everywhere,
you know,
but said in reverence of
I
him.
wouldn't be surprised if people started chanting he will not replace us. A callback to Charlottesville.
Well, there's always that. These are all a little
Right
ironic,
now,
aren't they?
the political rhetoric in this country has gotten worse.
We haven't heard much, to be honest, over here. There have, obviously, as I've said, a number of things have cropped up here and there, either saying clearly something's wrong or the worship article, which is hilarious. I might do a video on that because that's
Well,
just
what I
deluded.
mean is, what I mean is, people have been actually considering because of the happenings in Senate and Congress right now. So there are there are two or three major issues that are facing our Congress and our Senate right now. Um, Congress and Senate are the same thing technically. Good me.
Uh-huh.
Um, And those three things are the border,
Oh, God. He got asked about
voting
that.
rights, and guns.
Okay,
Those are the three things that are
right.
currently being talked about in our Congress.
Okay. I did allude to the gun thing recently because I get very cross about this. The
In
same,
twat.
yeah, I had to at the start. I had to. It
Oh,
pisses
I
me
know.
off
I saw.
so fucking much. I would have done a whole thing on it if people hadn't immediately gone on scorched earth. Context, for people who don't know. Boulder, shooting. People on Twitter. Must be a white MAGA man. Okay, MAGA man. Turns out, no. No, it was not a white MAGA man. It was, well, I'm not going to say what he was, but he was not that. And people who had been tweeting about this, which would include mainstream media, random people, and politicians, the latest two are not people, as I've already stated in a video on my main channel, they then went and deleted all their tweets. Now, some of it was archived. Great. My view on it is, you guys suck. You jumped a gun and spun a narrative, a dangerous, hateful narrative. And when you were proven wrong, you didn't admit guilt. You just went and fucked off back to your little corner, throwing bile at white people because white people bad.
I knew
So
it
it's
was
just-
going to be this way.
And then it's like, but we need control over those AR-15s. But it's not the fucking gun that's the problem. I'm sorry.
Well, don't you know? Guns kill people just by themselves.
There was a
And you know what happens when you guys get rid of guns? I mean, after all, you're in the UK, you know. Stabbings. If you're in Sweden, it's grenade attacks.
duly noted. My view has always been that I don't care for gun control. Everyone should have the right to own firearms. Everyone. It should be free. But there should be checks on like ownership's sake to make sure you are capable of responsibly owning a weapon. Yes.
Could you imagine? So this was an argument made by somebody else earlier today.
Okay.
Could you imagine any other right in the United States, right, guaranteed by the Constitution that was treated the way that you just explained?
Yeah.
There's a check that you are responsible enough to own a gun. There's a check whether or not you are responsible enough to have freedom of speech. There's a check to whether or not you are responsible enough or you are able to be exempt from a legal search and seizure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a check to make sure you deserve to have have a quick and speedy trial.
Yeah.
There's a check to make sure that you are worthy of not being subject to cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we treated any other right in this country like we did guns?
So this is why it's a dangerous path. We don't have guns much in the UK.
Freedom is dangerous.
Yeah, freedom is by the government in the UK. They're very fond of keeping it until September. When Biden mentioned wanting to he mentioned passing legislation that prohibited these weapons before, and I did see someone point out, actually that shit was overturned and it never came to effect, Biden. So no, you didn't get these guns off the street. Also, you can't get these guns off the street. You can't control this. You can't keep making the same old argument, but this is what the founding fathers wanted. Oh, and I do want to point out that, again, it's really not the gun that's the problem. It really isn't. Which is why only in context of guns, checks should exist on people. It should never be checks on all the other things, which are, oddly enough, much supported by the same people who are now like, people, we won, so can we not cancel ourselves? Because we won. Okay, cancel culture, no, not on ourselves. We don't do that. We're not a snake on a tail. No. Just stop. Which was pointed out by a CNN, that bold CNN news reporter. He mentioned not wanting to, for the cancelling to continue because there was a risk of them, just ruining each other for themselves. And I forgot to get the source for this. Or maybe I did get the source. Hang on, I'll go have a look. Let's see. No, I did not. Oh, that's a shame.
Thank you for the £3 donation, the like button.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't notice. My apologies. Thank you, yes. You mentioned immigration. So, do you want to gloss over that one?
Okay. So, we have a insane amount of people coming through our southern border right now. We have, I believe, based on the numbers from last year in February, the numbers are about 2 to 3 times higher this year than it was last year.
Weird flex.
Biden was asked, what?
Weird flex, but okay.
But it's not a good thing. Some migrants have actually been asked by reporters why. And some of them have been asked, like, is it because of Biden? And they answered, yeah, basically.
Oh, boy.
And Biden has even referred to that amongst himself and said, well, I guess I'm a nice guy. I'm not going to take away, kids from their families. So I guess that's why they want to come in now. It's just, I guess I'm just a nice dude. And I'm like, no.
As the ruler of that country, his
passive.
job is to protect it from all incursions. I'm sorry. It's as simple.
But it's gotten so bad that left-wing journalists or left-wing outlets have actually started criticizing, because a lot of them aren't allowed to even go to the border and investigate some of these locations. The government is currently keeping them away. Ted Cruz did something absolutely fucking hilarious, where he took about 18 U.S. senators to the border at midnight, stand on the Rio Grande on the border of Texas, and just filmed. They were like, it was basically like freaking Steve Irwin be like, "Oi, look over there, those be smugglers. Look at them waving their flashlights around." And basically, he pointed out there were 3 smugglers across the river in the Mexico side that were taunting Border Patrol and the senators. So you were like, yeah, there they are. Look, they're doing it right now. They're right there. Look, that problem that we're telling you about, it's real. Look, there it is.
Then you
And
notice
he filmed it.
that the major news outlets are just like, so we're going to talk about Trump and his hairline today?
Well, actually, some of them are talking about right now how good Biden was at being a speaker, I guess.
How much copium had they snorted?
Day.
How much copium had they snorted to think that he had a good... I'm sorry. I watch Boris fumble all the time during speech, but Boris completes his sentence and will re-say it to get it right. He doesn't stop talking, nor does his brain suddenly slow down and make him go... No, he doesn't suddenly have to reboot. He doesn't have a firmware update. He straight up gets on with it. He fumbles and it's hilarious. This guy fumbles and I'm sat here thinking, wait, did you literally just tell someone to just move on? He didn't even answer the freaking questions.
No, he didn't. But that is what they're currently defending him at all costs.
It's the same with the SMP thing, isn't it? It's that whole, we must protect this guy because the other option is red and that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so bad. It's so dumb. I don't know.
It's atrocious. And all these people were talking about Ted Cruz's midnight mini doc as like a political stunt.
Yeah.
And Beto O'Rourke made some comments, and I was like, Beto, I remember when you were useful. Guess what? You're not. Shut up and go away.
You're not.
You're as relevant as I am.
Wait, that means I'm more relevant than him.
Yes,
Woohoo!
correct. Because you know what? People actually care what you have to say.
Ooh.
O'Rourke just was like, yeah, fuck you, Cruz. And Cruz is like, hello? Who are you? Skateboard boy? What's going on?
To be fair, who is he?
I don't remember. I think he was the one on the skateboard.
It is.
You remember?
Yeah, he was the one on the skateboard. To be fair, I did like those videos.
I honestly, I couldn't remember if that was in fact him or not.
Yeah, it was him. I remember Beto O'Rourke did the skateboarding, and because I like skateboarding, I'm 100% fine with that. But this, yeah, no, that's just a clamour for relevancy. I saw some Ilhan Omar tweets about the whole event in Boulder, and
it's exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah.
It's the why do we draw attention to the race?
Yeah.
Oh, is that
after everyone has drawn attention
did you
to
draw
the race?
attention to did you maybe put your own foot in your mouth?
Can you now taste
maybe
the copium?
Put your brother's foot in your mouth? I don't know. You tell me.
I can taste the copium. It tastes salty.
Yes. And it's really funny because it's like, these white people, why are we covering for white people? Turns out it's a Syrian. Listen, guys, okay, like,
why do you have to devolve it like that? I mean, come on.
Yeah, why do you have to talk about race? I mean, fuck, man. And like,
tragic.
I agree. It's not an issue of where he came from. He was a Syrian, like, until he was 3 years old, and then he moved.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't even the issue. That I did not care. The problem that this guy had was that he had a short fuse, according to his friends, that he was mentally disturbed, according to his brother, that, according to his wrestling coach, he had threatened to kill everybody.
Yeah.
The guy was concerned. I think the words that were used was disturbed, paranoid, and prone to anger. That's what I care about.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what really sucks is that everyone brought up white MAGA first.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I saw first.
First thing that people brought up.
It's that first. That's the only tweet I managed to get, and that was from Undoomed. That whole "I'll give up my paycheck if it's a white MAGA something." I can't remember now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I still have the image. I'll go and get it. You carry on.
Was it Undoomed?
Yeah, Undoomed tweeted the image out of someone else's Twitter.
I thought it was Undoomed who wrote it. I'm like, that doesn't sound like him at all.
I deleted the file because I made another video. That's a shame.
But no, that literally, it's not. I didn't care until you guys were wrong, and you were shown to be wrong, and you backpedaled so fucking fast.
Yeah. And it's when I mentioned I was so genuine. I saw Cognitive Thought. He'd done a few streams on this, and I felt like I wanted to just summarize how annoyed I was at how, because it happened over the course of a number of days, and I sat back, I wanted to watch, see if it could resolve itself. And it was simply a case, those that then were found to have lied just decided to behave like children, delete everything, and refuse to acknowledge that they were racist. And then they were the same people who were doing the victim thing. It's like shifting goalposts, and I don't care for that. Simply take the L. That's all I want you to do.
I would appreciate these people so much more if they went, you know what? I jumped the gun. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I would respect them so much higher. But they act like petulant children who didn't just get caught by mom breaking the vase.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people that we fucking elect to represent us. And that's the saddest thing, I have to admit.
I couldn't agree more, to be honest.
One of the weirdest things, by the way, talking about things that we elect people, I saw an article yesterday where it was like Biden floats idea of 2024 presidential race, and I was like,
Fam, there's going to be an election in
hello?
like 2 years.
I was like, hello? Why are you talking about this now?
If he does,
Like,
I don't see
like,
him
like
winning.
a bunch of news agencies released that same like article, not like literally the same headline that we talked about
Oh,
before,
yeah. Sorry, no,
but like
yeah.
they all were talking about like how he's gonna run in 2024, and I'm just like, all right, what did you guys hear in your private conversations that you were like, everyone needs to make sure that Biden is gonna run in
I'll
2024?
be
Everyone
honest.
tell everyone.
There's a massive sort of gaping hole here in that they believe he'll
Oh
live
dear.
long enough to reach it.
Well, maybe it had something to do with falling upstairs.
Well,
Maybe it's all the life alert commercials that I've ever
well
heard where it's I've fallen and I can't get up.
when he's
Maybe it's
in.
the Freedom Tunes animation where it was Biden looking at a picture of himself falling down the stairs on a Stairmaster. He falls down the Stairmaster. Kamala Harris comes up and starts pressing the button to go faster.
When he goes into a care home, he won't have to think about the stairs anymore. Just thought I'd put it out there.
I swear to God, if Bill Clinton outlives Biden, I'm going to lose my mind.
Bill
Bill
Clinton,
Clinton,
is he that old?
he's not, but he looks dead.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
He looks actually dead.
The last like 5-6 years have not been good to him.
No.
Um,
He like when he was at McCain's funeral, he looked like he was a puppet.
he's lost a lot of weight.
It
I've noticed.
it was horrifying, dude. It literally looked like I watched a corpse.
Well, I'm not gonna. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that, to be honest, because
It's just weird, dude.
it is a tad
That's just
strange.
it's just weird. And I if Biden if Bill Clinton outlives him, I'm going to be surprised as all hell.
We'll have to start a poll on that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else with regards to Biden you'd like to discuss?
Not really. But everyone keep an eye out. If he starts doing more press conferences, this is going to be interesting.
If it becomes like once every other month, do just call sus and throw him out the shuttle, please.
Yeah.
As a final thing, for those who are watching on YouTube, this will be going up onto Spotify. I have a pinned comment in the live chat, which links directly to our Spotify channel. Please consider giving us a follow. It would greatly help us. We are trying to grow over there. We are currently sat on 49 followers, which is fantastic.
Hey, we're growing. Sick.
Yeah, we've got 111 starts. That's great. And by all means, just mute it and press play. We don't mind. I am seeking to improve the background noise because I did notice my dehumidifier in my room was too loud, so I've turned it off for streaming. I will seek to improve the audio quality on Spotify as well by putting it through Audacity and doing some tinkering this evening. Is there anything you would like to shill before I finish?
I have nothing yet to shill, but I'm in the process of getting everything into my house. Hopefully, I'm also going to be trying to update my audio quality because right now I'm in a mostly blank room. I hope to put up some foam behind my my monitors so it doesn't sound like I'm talking into a wall.
Sound paneling. It's what I use in my
Yeah,
room.
exactly.
Although I would say your audio quality sounds the same as it always does. So
That's amazing considering I'm on a
yeah,
gaming headset.
the acoustic is not in any way harmed by your location. I myself
Well,
have
good.
nothing
I think
to.
it's carpet.
Good. I myself have nothing to shill because I'm going to be busy this weekend taking a shed apart and then redoing the base to then rebuild the shed even in the bloody rain. Thank you very much everyone for joining. I'm sorry about the fumbles at the start. Yeah, anxiety's great. Thank you for joining. We should be back next week unless Trups is away.
I should be here.
If he's not, of course, you'll know ahead of time. Thank you very much for joining. We'll see you next week. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.